We are introduced to William Traynor, a regular person who seems to have everything he wants to lead the ideal life: a lovely girlfriend, a decent flat, and a good professional position. Everything changes as he hurries to work in the rain one morning. As he hails a cab across the street while distractedly on a phone call, his eyes brighten and we hear the sound of tires squealing and horns blaring. Louisa Clark seems to be a cheerful, intelligent, and vivacious young woman. She works at a cafe where she serves coffee, tea, and pastries to patrons while sporting daring clothes. Everything appears to be in order, and she appears to be enjoying herself until her employer apologetically discharges her and the cafe closes. Louisa lives with her working-class family, who are all having financial difficulties. Louisa didn't need the money from her employment to support her family. Instead, it was for them to survive. Louisa's mother is certain that her daughter will discover something. Despite their disagreement during dinner, Louisa sees her lover Patrick at the neighborhood athletics track the following day. He offers her guidance on how to get back on her feet, but she doesn't seem to want it because she's depressed. He encourages her, telling her to keep looking for work if she wants it. Out there in the world, there is a place for her. She just has to keep finding it. Louisa walks into an unemployment office. Thinking she has nothing to lose, we learn that she has had a number of jobs lately and has struggled to choose one that she is happy with. In fact, things have grown so terrible that no jobs remain. Apart from the last one, it's a carer duty for a crippled man, the officer informs her. Louisa is great and doesn't need any prior experience. She accepts with enthusiasm. Louisa has her employment interview the following day. The enormous mansion, which was formerly a castle, suggests the boss's extraordinary riches. Louisa is obviously rather anxious. Louisa is almost to be expected to have a rough start to the interview. Louisa is being interviewed by Will Traynor, whose refined, almost regal manner and demeanor are in complete contrast to Louisa's working-class upbringing. However, Louisa can't stop talking, and soon enough the woman's charm and innocence are exposed. When Camilla asks whether she may start right away, she believes she won't get the job. Louisa is pleased. Louisa follows Camilla to the annex through the house. She tells Louisa that her son, who became crippled 2 years ago, is the real reason for this position. She makes it clear that Louisa is there more as a friend to Will than as a professional caregiver when she goes over the specifics of the job. Though it's a strange description, Louisa merely seems content with her job. When Louisa finally meets Will, she's completely clueless, confined to a wheelchair, with disheveled hair and a rumpled beard. Will tries his hardest to make Louisa feel as uncomfortable as possible by making odd noises with his mouth right away. Furthermore, even if he does begin speaking, it's in a mocking and hateful manner. All of a sudden, this job isn't looking too nice. Louisa is back to her chaotic home life. Everyone appears to be really agitated. The kitchen is disorganized, and all her family members are present. The family is overjoyed and Louisa later discloses that she received the position. Louisa's first day, Nathan, Will's physical therapist, gives her an overview of how to take care of him. He assures Louisa that she does not have to think of all the physical assistance and heavy lifting. She then asks what she should do, but Nathan tells her he also don't know. He says to just lift Will's spirits. Her first conversation with Will on her own doesn't go well. She attempts to talk him into going on his laptop to pass the time or leaving the house with her. In his replies, he is sarcastic and occasionally cruel. Subsequently, he specifically asks her if she might be quieter around him, an end to an exchange that was already terrible. Though Louisa tries not to show it, she is obviously affected by it. She eats her lunch by herself in the garden, away from everyone, including Will. Louisa gives the task her all, even though things with Will aren't going smoothly at first. She shows up every day wearing one of her colorful dresses and tries her best to please Will. He seems to be growing increasingly perplexed by her every day and doesn't seem to give a damn. Louisa is talking about Will with her sister Trina. Trina soon brings up the subject of her own potential return to school in the course of the talk. This makes Louisa grumpy as she will be forced to stay behind and take care of her parents by herself. Trina seems guilty, but there's nothing she can do. Louisa recognizes that she needs this. When Louisa returns the following day, she discovers that a few of Will's old pals have paid him a visit. Since it's unexpected, Camilla appears uneasy about the visit. Will's closest buddy Rupert and his former girlfriend Alicia are the guests. Louisa watches on with a hurt look as the talk becomes awkward and uncomfortable. However, things take a turn for the worse when Rupert admits to Alicia that they are engaged in addition to being a romantic partner. Together, they intended to deliver the news to Will. Despite coming out as icy and resentful, Will is clearly devastated. After the accident, Alicia tells Louisa that she wants to stay with Will. Louisa stays silent, but it's clear from the expression on her face that she disagrees. Louisa hears a big bang coming from the adjacent room as soon as they leave. She rushes to discover Will's framed pictures broken on the floor. It appears that he knocked them off himself when he pounded into the cabinet. Louisa is discussing Will with her lover, Patrick. She's upset for Will and finds it unbelievable that his best buddy and ex-partner got engaged. Patrick doesn't appear to care, though. He's more focused on the vacation the two of them and Louisa are organizing. Patrick is able to persuade her to travel to Norway in order to compete with his pals in a race that is taking place there. Although Louisa was unaware of this, she is too shy to speak up once she does. all she can do is appear to be happy for herself and Patrick. When Will returns home, he sees Louisa repairing the pictures he broke the day before. He expresses to her his dislike of being reminded of his past and present selves, his desire for them to remain how they are, and his dislike of seeing himself. At last, Louisa loses her patience and snaps back at him. Not that she deserves it, she tells him to stop being such an asshole. She goes on to reveal that the reason she is working is merely to get the money she needs. Will seems to be struck by this. Unexpectedly, Will asks Louisa to go see a movie together that afternoon. Although she agrees, she doesn't enjoy the type of movies he watches, but she agrees to it, much to his joy. This is their first meaningful talk together. Then, somewhat unexpectedly, Will proposes that they head outside. They seem to be truly enjoying each other's company, and their talk flows. Camilla appears happy that even she has noticed. Nathan tells Louisa how difficult Will's life is after visiting the hospital. He clarifies that there is no possibility of him getting well. Worse, he is in continual agony and is more prone to severe illnesses as a result of his condition. His life is actually much worse than Will portrays it to be. Louisa suggests seeing a foreign film when she and Patrick go to the movies that night. He brushes it aside with a chuckle and chooses a comedy. Will is ill inside even if it is snowing outside. His father wants Louisa to keep a careful eye on him because he has a fever. She watches over him, growing more concerned as his health deteriorates. Half awake, Will assures her not to worry, he'll be alright, while she tries to call for help. However, as the hours go by, he gets progressively worse and worse. When Nathan finally shows up, he becomes extremely alarmed upon witnessing Will's state. He jumps at the chance to assist, doing everything in his power to keep Will alive. At this time, Louisa discovers that Will has cut marks on his wrists and knows that he has been pretending to her about his true feelings, even though she doesn't have to. Louisa spends the evening with Will and stays by his side. She views a previous celebration clip that Will's pals produced for him. He appears to be an entirely different person in it, brimming with vitality and happiness. She's still in his room when Will wakes up. They continue to chat, growing closer, and Will is gradually showing signs of recovery. Things go bad when Louisa hears Will's parents fighting. It seems that Will has made a bargain with them to end his life through euthanasia in half a year. His father seems to believe that Will made the decision and that there is nothing they can do to stop it, which upsets Camilla because she didn't want it to get to this. Louisa is obviously distressed and is thinking about quitting her work altogether. However, her sister then makes the point that things don't have to finish here. Louisa can actually use the next 6 months to demonstrate to Will that living is worthwhile despite being disabled. Louisa tells Will's parents about her proposal. They all agree that they will be more than pleased to assist her in any way she can in getting Will to go out of the house with her. Since Louisa is aware that Will won't travel on his own, she tells Will a falsehood, claiming that Nathan has never seen horse racing and is eager to go. They do, and even though Louisa is overjoyed, Will's chair becomes lodged in the mud right away. Although Will feels ashamed, they call on a few men to assist in helping him get up. Everything seems to be going well despite this incident, and Will is even having fun until they try to eat at a restaurant and they are refused service. Louisa starts a scene that ends up embarrassing Will and spoiling the entire day. Louisa then informs Will that she's bought tickets to a Mozart concert because she's never been, determined not to give in. Even though Will is hesitant to go, he eventually accepts. Louisa decides to look the part and dresses up that evening. Together, Will and his suitably stylish appearance demonstrate Will's commitment to doing his part. The entire evening is a big success, and Will appears to be enjoying the company even more than the performance. He actually enjoys it all so much that he requests to stay in the car with Louisa and listen to music for a little while longer when they get home. She gives her enthusiastic agreement. Louisa asks Will to supper on her birthday at her family's home. Despite a few difficult moments, the evening goes really well. However, Patrick's appearance makes his jealousy of Will clear. Noticing this, Will chooses to play along, flirting with Louisa in an attempt to get Patrick to warm up to him. Louisa has to pretend to appreciate the ugly jewelry that Patrick, who is overly jealous of her, gets her, but Will gets her an ugly pair of stockings that she really adores. Will shows Louisa to a neighboring castle the following day. Paris is the greatest city in the world, he says to her as they are on the towers. Especially a tiny cafe he used to enjoy. He says that he wants to go there with him, despite her attempts to persuade him to go. The elderly him, not who he is at this moment. Louisa's father is celebrating a new job at home. It appears that he got hired by Will's father to do castle maintenance. Louisa is pleased for him but worried that he got hired for the wrong motive. Will clarifies that this simply implies Louisa isn't always focused on other people anymore, that, for once, she is capable of taking care of herself. Will and Louisa attend Rupert and Alicia's wedding. As Louisa drinks and makes Will mingle, what initially seems like a somewhat unpleasant situation quickly becomes less so. Will's friend Mary makes fun of Alicia for leaving him, saying that Will is unique, that Louisa ought to be glad she got to meet him. She says yes, then pushes Will onto the dance floor to demonstrate her agreement, reclining on his lap while his chair sags on the ground. They ignore the looks they receive. As the evening draws to a close, Will runs away down the street with Louisa curled up on his lap as they giggle into the darkness. The following day, Nathan worries that Will was drinking, and Will's mother worries that he was gone all night. However, they both feel that he has changed and appears to be happier than before. Louisa and Patrick are working on training together. They try to arrange their vacation while they run. However, Louisa recalls how she has to be around Will at that precise moment. Outraged that she's spending longer time with Will than he is, Patrick loses it completely. He flees in rage as she attempts to explain why she cannot. Louisa finds out that Will still intends to commit suicide despite everything she has done for him, but she believes that if she gives it one more go, maybe, just maybe, she may persuade him to change his mind. So, desperate to save Will's life, she organizes a lavish vacation. The evening prior to her departure, Patrick gives her a surprise dinner. When he learns that she is traveling with Will for their holiday, he becomes enraged. It appears to be a honeymoon, and she has cancelled their vacation in favor of another. Patrick disregards her reasoning and walks away. They pass the entire day at the beach and by the pool, enjoying the flawless weather and the seemingly perfect holiday. Will is helped by Louisa to settle into his bed that evening while the storm rages outdoors. But after a while, the tone becomes more relaxed. Notwithstanding everything, she climbs in with him and they share a kiss as they lean in. In every aspect, it is flawless, charming, and gentle. Louisa appears like she is very happy, and the following day is just as pleasant as the first. However, as she confesses her libido will that evening, everything goes wrong. Will be willing to kill himself when the time comes, no matter how he feels or how much love he clearly has for her. He responds by saying he can't continue living this life, to which she calls him selfish. But he explains that this isn't his life anymore. Moreover, he does not want her to become resentful of him for anything that he is unable to do for her due to his paralysis. She runs out, upset, and refuses to listen after sobbing uncontrollably. Strangely enough, though, so does Will. After their vacation, when they get back, everything has changed. Though his parents believe there could be a chance, they are horrified by what they see when they see Louisa, who is miserable. Camilla sobs as Louisa informs them there is little she can do. Louisa tells her parents what has been happening that evening. Her father is more restrained, but her mother is enraged by the circumstances. He explains that trying to love them for who they are is the best you can do, and maybe that will be sufficient. Louisa understands at this point that she has made a grave error and that she ought to be by Will's side during his final moments rather than apart from him. She goes to Switzerland, the place where Will chose to end his life, and there, on his last day here on Earth, she offers him whatever help she is capable of providing. They lay down in bed together, cuddle, and exchange kisses. A few days later, Louisa is in Paris and going to the exact same cafe that Will once told her he cherished. We find out via voiceover that Will wrote Louisa one last farewell letter. He tells her in the letter that he appreciates what she did and encourages her to move on without letting him hold her back. He tells her that he has bequeathed her a sizable inheritance, just enough to allow her to live a life of freedom and self-reliance. Louisa is shown strolling through Paris at the conclusion of the film, looking forward to her new life. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoy this heart-wrenching story. For more content like this, please comment, like, and subscribe to our channel.